our top story now at this hour. Several explosions lit up the night sky in Gaza in the early hours of this morning, the day after US President Donald Trump told Israel to immediately stop bombing Gaza. Trump yesterday told Israel to stop the bombardment after Hamas agreed to release hostages and accept some of the other terms in the US plan to end the war. But vexing issues like disarmament appeared unresolved. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said that Israel was preparing for an immediate implementation of the first stage of Trump's Gaza plan for the release of Israeli hostages following Hamas's response. Shortly after, Israeli media reported that the country's political echelon had instructed the military to reduce offensive activity in Gaza. So perhaps for more on this, we're going to be joined by international news veteran journalist Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, a very good morning and thank you for your time at this hour. Perhaps we could just speak to the significance of Hamas now publicly agreeing to this plan linked to US President Donald Trump, given their past rejections of US-led proposals as well. But even if we're looking at the terms and conditions, who actually controls the enforcement of that, whether there's violations or not as well?
I think the announcement by Hamas is welcomed by many. However, as you pointed out in the intro, it's not all the proposals or the points in that plan that have been accepted by Hamas. Yes, Hamas has agreed to release all hostages, including handing over the bodies of those who have passed on. However, the sticking point is that you know that in that plan, there is a proposal that there must be an independent body that is going to run the administration of Gaza. And according to the proposal, it included foreign citizens such as Tony Blair and led by President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, that proposed board on Gaza. And they have rejected that, saying Palestinians have a right to determine their future and govern themselves. They agree to an independent body that can run Gaza, but it must be the Palestinians. And also on issues of disarmament, you still have to sort that out. Because we saw yesterday, much as after President Trump accepted the statement from Hamas saying that it's a good step in the right direction, Israel continued to bomb Gaza. And therefore, even today, as you pointed out, the instruction came out that they must reduce the military operation. But the military operation is continuing. You have people currently who were intercepted, or one can say abducted, by Israeli forces who were on those flotillas that were sailing in the sea as part of demonstration to support the people of Gaza as they experience hunger, deprivation, and, all the diseases, because they can't access humanitarian assistance, including 5 South Africans. We don't know where they are as we speak. And we saw officials in Israel counting and harassing and abusing, insulting the citizens of the world because they come from different countries and they are ordinary citizens. They are not prisoners of war. And therefore you can see that much as there's hope, but Israel, being Israel under Benjamin Netanyahu, you can't trust anything. As long as Israel is led at government level by Benjamin Netanyahu, it is going to be difficult to really achieve much needed results in totality.
Because there's also questions about this Palestinian technocratic body, right? I mean, would Israel allow an international Arab body to oversee that? So there are questions on that front. But even just how this framework is ultimately also going to address Gaza's economy, the humanitarian situations that's also emerged. So we need to monitor those developments as well. Staying with the international coverage, we also, that there's a pending investigation. We're looking at, 5 top cops now being sent to France. This is to assist in the investigation of Ambassador Natim Tetwa, of course, following his passing this week. Can you also perhaps tell us about the developments on that front?
Well, you know that when you are a diplomat, you represent the president of the country that is the country you come from. And therefore, the passing on the death of Natim Tetwa is a big story, and he was representing the country. And therefore, two countries will have to work together to get to the bottom of this matter. In South Africa in particular, it becomes even more crucial, as you know that at the Mazanga Commission, his name was mentioned. You don't want to leave conspiracy theories. You want to deal with this matter so that you know exactly what happened and the country is informed in terms of what has happened. And therefore, you have to involve the country of origin. It does happen with all other countries. If somebody was to die in South Africa as a senior diplomat from a particular country, that country will send its investigative team to work with the local law enforcement agencies to get to the bottom of the matter so that you don't have these conspiracy theories. And I think it is based on that. We've seen previously people dying outside South Africa, repatriation and involvement of investigation of South African law enforcement agencies. You would recall people who perished in Nigeria at that synagogue when it collapsed. You still have to take responsibility for your own citizens. That is why even when they are arrested or they are in conflict with the law in a foreign country, the South African law enforcement agency might not go there necessarily, but they get involved, particularly with working together with Interpol. So it's part of what the country must do when something like this has happened. It happens all the time. That's why it's in the Vienna Convention.
Well, Sophie, we're monitoring those developments closely. Of course, there's also the Sumut flotilla that we need to monitor with regards to some who are on the boat that obviously were captured. Let's see what emerges from there. International editor Sophie Mokoena there joining us to unpack the latest developments. Hamas now agrees with Trump's peace plan for Gaza. We're trying to understand the terms of reference there and perhaps also just speaking to the ongoing investigation regarding Ambassador Natim Tetwa following his passing as well between South Africa and France authorities.